sun is shining in the sky, hardly a cloud in sight, and we are going to have a fantastic race here today.
Drivers, start your engine!
Cause we want retribution. Yeah, we want retribution.
But coming to the green here, it's getting cleaned out real well. Pace car's off, kick some ass.
There's the green flag and we're underway.
Green, 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 green. Outside, still there at your door. Good job, man. Nice and solid. Good carry stuff.
Three wide.
Here, Hawkins into the wall.
Oh, big trouble!
Crash in the back. Oh, there's the crash in the back.
Trouble.
Great job, doing awesome, buddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't even know what to say. I am like very, very ill prepared, and I do massively apologize for that. But welcome to the Charlotte Motor Speedway for our penultimate race of the 2025 season. We are making up 2 races. Because I don't even know what to say. But anyways, holy cow, there was so much that happened behind the scenes. But anyways, we're here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. This is the Coca-Cola 600. Now, this was one of 2 races that was supposed to be ran in the month of May, but due to other things that happened behind the scenes, we kind of had to put this race and Pocono, which will be ran this Saturday, at the very back end of the 2025 season. So here we are. We finally made it here to the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and what better day to go racing on than here on Veterans Day. This race would have been the 600 miles of remembrance, but it's not just that. It is now the 600 miles of giving thanks to our veterans who have paid the ultimate price and who have definitely fought for our country, fought for our rights, and had it not been for them, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't be here in the exact spot that we are in today if it hadn't been for our veterans. So this race is a tribute to them. And also, on top of that, for this race and also for this Saturday's race at Pocono, which will be our final race of the 2025 season, no points are on the line. Remember, we at Homestead Miami Speedway, we ended up locking up the points back on November 1st. And of course, Kyle Craven came away with the championship by a mere 15 points over Russell Blaze. We don't have the graphics put together, but we do have the points, and we're going to show them here right here on your screen. Here's how the points wrapped up. You see Kyle Craven came out of Miami with 487 points to his name, and then finishing in second is our runner-up Russell Blaze. Came up just short, 15 points short, but he put together a valiant effort nonetheless. Skylar Taylor finishing in third with 462. Ryan Little with 447. Zachary Fitzwater completes the top 5 in points with 436. Then Terry Walker with 434. Stephen Colon with 422. Roberto Crown Jr. with a 421. Emily Anderson 417. And Valkyrie Atikian completes the top 10 with 401 points. And then here's a look at the rest of how your points shaped up after Homestead Miami. There's Nia Seidel finishing 13th on the points paying season. Nathan Stapleton had himself a pretty good comeback. He was 21st, as high as 21st, up until Miami. He didn't have himself the best of showings at Homestead, but definitely after, I think that might have sparked after some, very lengthy pit stops, which kind of set him back quite a ways. But nonetheless, though, he comes out of this inside of the top 30 in the points standings. I mean, I'd have to say that this would be a huge win for Stapleton, given the fact that he finished inside of the top 30 and not out. So big congrats to him, for pulling through, and, look where it got him. Wyatt Walker finishing 22nd in points. Quentin Moore, Rogel Dorn. Hey, man, they did a very great job here this season. They've been pretty consistent in their own right. And Durrani Racing has had themselves a pretty fantastic year in their first outing in WRLA competition. But as you look underneath the top 30, there's Caleb Rose, had himself a really great year, but unfortunately not quite the case. Well, had himself a great year, but unfortunately to close out the points paying season, not the case, finishing 30th in points. CG Halt didn't have himself the greatest of seasons. Neither did Bonsignor nor Phillips. Moonstar Racing Enterprises, they're coming back next year. Sebastian Vaughn looking to try to bounce back from this result, finishing 34th in the points standings. Aaron Abel and Jerry Rose, they make out the rest of the 36 car field in the points. But man, we had ourselves a pretty wild and crazy sort of day here on Veterans Day. A little bit ago, we had earlier in the day, actually, there was a Veterans Day special event that was held at the Homestead Miami Speedway, and drivers like Quentin Moore, Zachary Fitzwater, and Wayne Lopez all took part in that event. And may I say, even though they didn't finish as strong as what we would have hoped for them to, they came out waving their WRLA flags strong and loud and proud for the team, and we couldn't be any more proud of them. And then earlier today, well, just a little bit ago, actually, we had over on Trey Wright's side of things, we had the Loves American Truck Series at Hillside that saw Russell Blaze score back-to-back wins, actually. It is rookie year, funny enough. So he has had himself a pretty fantastic time over there, just as he has over here in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series sides of things. And now we're getting ready to go here for the Coca-Cola 600. And you'd have to bet that Blaze had to pull off some light speed in order to get here, because he starts on the front row along with Kyle Craven. The starting lineup has been set via points here for this race. And then we're going to figure out just exactly the other 6 drivers that made the field. They made it via draw, and they are starting out back here for this event. So we scroll through the next page here. There's Wayne Lopez. Remember, he competed in that Veterans Day clash and actually had himself a pretty good run in the opening parts of the event, but got himself into a little bit of trouble later on, and he was not able to see the finish of that one. But he is starting 15th here in this race, looking for him to possibly be a factor here tonight. Nathan Stapleton in the 97 machine starting 25th. Walker starting in the 22nd position. Then there's Appalachian Motorsports cars, Bruno Diacomo, Caleb Rose. They'll be starting in the 15th row here for this one. And then we get further out back. There's some of the part-time cars, Bobby McGuire, Janiah Hill. Both of them are in this race. They're full-time next year. So, of course, they're going to be going for all that they can. Janiah Hill wound up getting her first Pepsi Cup Series win earlier, back at Homestead Miami Speedway, which was a home track, actually. So, pretty fitting that Hill was able to get the job done at Homestead Miami, and McGuire was right there to watch, and now they're both going to be competing against each other here in this race. There's Chase McClure and Joshua Cornish. They round out your 42 car field here for this Coca-Cola 600. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here on Veterans Day, we get to make up one of 2 races. This is the first one being the Coca-Cola 600. And again, as I said, no points are on the line. So these drivers are going to be going for all that they can get for 200 laps. Who will come away with the Coca-Cola 600? We're about to find out. The drivers are strapped into their cars. Pre-race ceremonies are just now starting to wrap up. But in order to get these 42 behemoths rolling on the track, we got to get the command to fire the engines. So let's go trackside and get just that.
Drivers, start your engines.
Car, you got me. Fired up, everybody.
And there it is. Engines are fired, pace cars rolling off. And so are these 42 competitors. Do apologize if I'm not really saying a whole lot. I was eating a donut, but it's a very nice donut, actually. Pretty tasty. So and again, if I do end up getting fatigued from that, blame the donut, because food fatigue is a real thing, ladies and gentlemen. Food fatigue is very real. Especially in the world of commentating in our 2003 races. But ladies and gentlemen, this is pretty poetic, if you will, here. This is the first of 2 races that we'll be making up here that were originally supposed to be ran in May, but got placed at the back end of the year. No points are on the line, so these drivers, they're going to be going for all that they can get. And how interesting this is going to be. Trey Wright's team with Kyle Craven at the helm, our 2025 champion, starts on pole. Russell Blaze, who won back-to-back races for his own league, is going to lead the field to the green flag and get the Coca-Cola 600 started from here at Charlotte. Really great start there for Kyle Craven as he jumps out with the lead, and Blaze is going to tuck in that second position. And third place in points, Skylar Taylor coming up into the third spot. First lap is going to be led by Kyle Craven. And again, no points are on the line for tonight and this Saturday at Pocono because we are already finished up with the points paying season. Oh, crash! On the back straightaway. Crash on the back straightaway. 3 cars go around. The 59 of Caleb Bros. There's Bonsignor collected. And also Aaron Abel, 43. Claire Phillips in the 5. Caution on the speedway early in the going here in the Coca-Cola 600. And Kyle Craven is going to lead him down. Oh, they're wrecking again. Alexander Rowe, and I think that was Quentin Moore. Both of them got into the turn 2 wall, especially the 34 of Alexander Rowe. Looks like a little bit of rear end. Yeah, oh wow, a lot of rear end damage to Rowe's car. So definitely troubles early in this one. Involving multiple amounts of cars that brought out the first yellow flag of the evening here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Craven is going to lead them all down pit road to kick things off. But man, what a start here to the Coca-Cola 600 from here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Look at the right side of the 04 of Moore. He definitely did get into that outside wall on the cool down lap. There's Bonsignor's number 22. He is going to be done for the night. So very, very tough break there for the hometown hero, at least. One of a few. That being Alex Bonsignor. Race off of pit road was won by Kyle Craven. Stephen Colon comes out in the second position. Nia Steidel third. Val Moscow comes out fourth. Blaze is going to get kicked back to fifth. Then Fitzwater sixth. Valkyrie Atikian is going to come out seventh with Reagan Whitlock eighth. Emily Anderson gets kicked back to ninth. And there's Terry Walker. He's going to complete your top 10 coming out of the pits. But in the meantime, your race leader is Kyle Craven in the 28. Let's go back and review what happened that caused our first caution of the evening here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. This all happened on lap number 2. And I do believe we have found the culprit. We have indeed found the culprit here at the Charlotte. We found the culprit of what caused. Oh, actually, whoopsie daisies. I am absolutely botching this. So right about here. This is where the first caution ensued. It was closer to the back of the field, but you're going to see Alex Bonsignor. He's running his line, and it looks like he just gets back on the gas a little bit quicker than Caleb Rose. Rose washes up the track here and just barely catches, just barely gets a little bit loose, comes down on the nose of Bonsignor, and that cleans out Aaron Abel and Claire Phillips. So it was a 4-car jam session down towards the infield on the back straightaway. So Phillips and Caleb Rose, unfortunately, Phillips drove away from the accident just barely lost control of her car, but she was able to drive away from the accident. Same for Caleb Rose. But Alex Bonsignor was the unfortunate soul in this one. He had to be teleported to pit road. And then let's take a look at what happened here with Rowe and Quentin Moore. And this is the beginning of the race. So all these cars were jammed on top of one another here. There's Zachary Taylor making it 3 wide underneath of Andrew Ramsey and Rogel Dorn. That's when they took the caution flag. And I think right here, you're going to see Quentin Moore. Stapleton actually came up just a tiny bit. Yeah. Stapleton came up right into the left front fender of Moore. And that sent both of them up into Alexander Rowe and then into the outside wall from Moore and Alexander Rowe. Stapleton, fortunately for him, he came away with this for the most part unscathed. We might have to keep an eye on whatever damage he might have sustained on his car. But as for Moore and Alexander Rowe, those two probably had some pretty lengthy pit stops, to say the least. But what a start. What a start to tonight's Coca-Cola 600. From here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, we're going to take a look at the Bonsignor Rose incident at speed. And man, if you're Bonsignor, you're just trying to go for all you can get. I'm pretty sure he didn't want to be in the middle of a 3-wide situation, but that's what wound up happening. And Caleb Rose just barely regained control of his car, and he is going to be down and away from this incident. And then, obviously, right here, the incident between the 04, the 34, and the 97. It's a very interesting incident of what happened between these three on the cooldown lap, trying to catch up to the pace car. But I don't even know. I don't know what else to really say to that, but what a very interesting start here to the Coca-Cola 600 from here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Your race leader in this whole ordeal is Kyle Craven in the number 28 machine, and coming out second is going to be Stephen Colon. We'll review your finishing your current results once they cross the start finish line this time around. Again, this is just after they completed their first official round of pit stops very early in this one. So as they cross the stripe this time by, Craven the leader, Cologne in second, then Anaya Steidel in the third spot. They're running in fourth as Val Moscow. Russell Blaze completes the top 5. Then in sixth is Fitzwater. Seventh is the 9 machine of Reagan Whitlock. And do stand corrected on Terry Walker. He will be scored in the 8th spot. Then in 9th is Valkyrie Atikian, and Emily Anderson is going to round out your top 10. With 4 laps complete in the Coca-Cola 600 here in Charlotte. Gonna finish up this donut here real quick. Be right back. All right, here we go. The donut is finished. And we are ready to continue on with our coverage of our penultimate race of the 2025 WRLA Pepsi Cup Series season. Lights are out on the pace car. We have one to go before we go back to green. If you're just now tuning in, we've only had one caution to kick this off so far. And that was all on lap number 2, a 4-car jam session between Alex Bonsignor, Claire Phillips, Killa Bros, and as well as 4th car, Aaron Abel. And then on the cool down lap, Nathan Stapleton and got into Quentin Moore, and as well as the 34th Alexander Rowe. They're still out on the racetrack with the exception of Bonsignor. He is done for the night early in the going here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And your race leader is the 2025 Pepsi Cup Series champion for American Motorsports, that being Trey Wright's team, is Kyle Craven. And if you're keeping track of what happened after the Love's American Truck Series race at Hillside, your back-to-back winner, that being Russell Blaze, who finished runner-up in this season's WRLA Pepsi Cup Series, he's currently 5th. Here comes Skylar Taylor in that 41. He's going to line up on the inside. Green flag, and he's set to go back out into the air to resume the Coke 600. And what in the world did I just see there? Skylar Taylor just absolutely left Kyle Craven in the dust to try to get their lap back, and it worked. But I would not be any bit surprised if the 41 gets a penalty from this, because you can't really beat the leader to the start finish line to restart the race. I'd be shocked if they let that fly. But race for the lead is on. Here comes Stephen Cologne. Caution is out back again. And once again, it's Aaron Abel. And I believe Claire Phillips in the 5. Even more damage to both of their cars. More than likely, they're going to be done for the night. But Cologne is going to take the race lead away. And coming to the caution flag on lap number 8, it is going to be Stephen Cologne. And that absolutely worked out for Skylar Taylor. They're going to be back on the lead lap after this. I cannot even believe what I just witnessed. And dare I say, if you are Skylar Taylor, as badly as you feel for your boss, you have to be kind of thanking him, because he kind of, in a way, was being a great teammate, if you will. But Aaron Abel, unfortunately, probably not going to see the end of this one. He's going to go behind the wall on lap number 9. That's a tough break there for Aaron Abel. And as far as the 5 of Claire Phillips, I'm pretty sure she might have retired from the race as well, unless if she's at the tail end of the field. I do not see her car out on the racetrack, so she more than likely has taken it behind the wall. And 2 more early exits here in the Coca-Cola 600. Oh no! Fitzwater just ran right into the back of Ryan Little. But he wins the race off of pit road anyway. So Fitzy's going to come out as the race leader. Stephen Cologne will come out 2nd. Russell Blaze 3rd. Steidel's going to get kicked back to 4th. And Val Mosco will complete your top 5. Kyle Craven is going to get relegated back to the 6th position. Looks like Terry Walker, I think Reagan Whitlock's going to be 7th. That indeed is going to be the case as Whitlock goes on by. So that will put Terry Walker back in 8th. Stapleton is going to move up into the 9th spot. And Andrew Ramsey rounds out your top 10 here, with now 9 coming to 10 laps complete in the Coca-Cola 600 here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. let's go back and review what happened. That brought out our second caution of the evening. This happened on the front straightaway on lap number 7. And it looks like indeed there was some 3-wide action going on further in the back. This involved Aaron Abel, CG Holt, and Quentin Moore. And it looks like Holt tried to force it 3-wide, try to thread the needle. And he just gets into the left rear, well, just gets into the back of the 43. And that sends Abel around. Quentin Moore pancakes the outside wall, and both Abel and Phillips make contact with one another, nose to nose. And that is going to be the thing that eliminates both Phillips and Abel from contention from this race. Rather unfortunate circumstances there for those two cars, especially even for Quentin Moore, who was just partially an innocent bystander to this one. He ended up pancaking the outside wall there on the front straightaway, so a little bit more damage has been done to his car. But just look at this spectacle right here. I think and again, this is kind of similar to what happened on lap number 2 with Hall trying to go for everything that he can, and I think just CG thought he was clear there and tried to get back in line behind the 43 and just absolutely misjudged it there. And unfortunately, this is going to take out Aaron Abel in this one, and Claire Phillips on top of that as well. But man, a very chaotic first 10 laps in the Coca-Cola 600 here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Race leader, your official race leader, is the 98 of Zachary Fitzwater. And take a look at this. Stephen Colon is going to be making his way back on pit road, as is the 21 of Roberto Crown Jr. So those two cars maybe make that 3. I don't know if there's anybody else that's going to be coming down pit road. More than likely not the case here. But only 2 cars are coming on back down pit road, that being Stephen Colon and Roberto Crown Jr. So then move Blaze up to the 2nd spot, and whoever was in 11th at the time, I believe that might have been Tanner Parton, move him, actually maybe not, no, yeah, definitely move him up instead of the top 10, because by the time that Stephen Colon crossed the start finish line, that put him in the 7th position. So it'll take a little bit before these drivers can come back around, and we can correct and get that all corrected by the time that these cars cross the start finish line. More than likely, they might take 1 to go this time by. But man, what a very interesting first 10 laps here to the Coca-Cola 600. Last year's NRLA McDonald's Cup Series Coke 600, I don't recall it being as chaotic as it was right from the get-go. But man, the racing was off the walls, just flat out amazing. But here we are here in the WRLA Pepsi Cup Series Coca-Cola 600, and unfortunately, things are kind of taking a pretty interesting turn here in the first 20th of this race. Lights are out on the pace car. So we're going to get these cars turned up and turn them loose once again, and hopefully we are able to get some green flag racing in. Your top 10 goes as follows as we get ready to restart here in the Coca-Cola 600. Zachary Fitzwater is your race leader. Then in second is the 69 of Russell Blaze. Nia Steidel in third. Val Moscow fourth. Kyle Craven completes your top 5. Then in 6th is Terry Walker. 7th is Reagan Whitlock. Nathan Stapleton in 8th. Then in 9th is the 67 of Andrew Ramsey, and Tanner Parton in the 07 rounds out your top 10. Andrew Miller having himself a pretty good showing very early in this one too, as he's currently in the 11th spot, just outside the top 10. As is Sebastian Vaughn and Alexander Rowe. Wyatt Walker shown in the 15th position. Janiah Hill, our winner back at Homestead on the 1st of November. Currently shown in 16th. Bobby McGuire 19th. And Wayne Lopez completes your top 20. Field comes off of turn 4 this time. Pace car is off. So let's see exactly how this restart's going to go. No lap cars on the inside line. So this is going to be a clean single file restart as Fitzy brings them back down. And both he and Blaze get a really good jump on this restart. Stapleton already on the attack as he goes to the inside of Reagan Whitlock to take over that 7th spot as they head down the back straightaway. Val Moscow making his way underneath of Nia Steidel. This will be the fight for 3rd as the challenge for the lead is on. Here comes Blaze to the inside of Zachary Fitzwater. He's going to easily get by this 98 to lead lap 14. And Kyle Craven trying to waste no time at all. He almost made it 3 wide going into turn 1. They are 3 wide further in the back. That's why a Walker there in the middle, that red, white, and blue Bass Pro Shops car. Perez gets on by. Valkyrie Atikian now trapped up on the 3rd line. And there's Noah Clifton in the 99 machine down on the inside of Alexander Rowe with who has a lot of rear end damage to his car, but it's pretty shocking to see that Rowe is still up here and in a way is able to hold his own, at least for what he's able to do. But Roast restarted 13th here in this race, and he's starting to continue to drop and lose even more spots. He's holding up Janiah Hill in that 7. There goes Bobby McGuire, now making it 3 wide underneath of Emily Anderson and Valkyrie Atikian. Rogel Dorn is going to follow, and there's Abby Walker in the 18 who won at Iowa back in May. And that red, white, and blue, the red, white, and blue patriotic colors for the M&M's Camry. 3 wide over here with Terry Walker. He restarted in the 8th position, and he's just got relegated back to 10th. He was 6th that last lap around, but things are getting pretty dicey up here at the front, almost 4 wide. Ooh, Clifton getting really, really close there to the back end of Steidel's car. And meanwhile, up front, it's the front 2 in the point standings, but flip-flopped. Blaze the leader, and Kyle Craven right back up there in 2nd, getting ready to pounce on the runner-up in point standings. The top 2 guys in points, our 2025 champion, Kyle Craven. No idea what his plans are going to be after this season. We have no idea where he's going, but we know that he is coming back. We definitely know that for sure. But the question is, where is he going? That is going to be the question. And that is something that all these other owners are going to have to decide whether or not. I mean, if Kyle Craven's going to be a part of their team, he could be with Durrani Racing. He could join Russell Blaze's new team of Death Rider Racing. You just never know exactly where Kyle Craven could wound up at. He could wound up practically anywhere. But as of right now, I mean, he's our 2025 champion. He's running for American Motorsports for these next 2 races. And then after that, it's a bunch of question marks that are up in the air right now. Val Moscow sitting in the 3rd position. We look further in the back of the field. There's Tanner Parton in 4th, being contested by the 96. That's Andrew Miller. And then fight for 6th is on. Between Stapleton and as well as the 88 of Braden Perez. Perez has got himself a pretty fast hot rod as he rockets right on by the 97 of Stapleton. There's Sebastian Vaughn and Reagan Whitlock. This has essentially turned into a 4-horse fight for that 6th spot. Now possibly make that 7th as Stapleton starting to drop back a little bit. And now here comes Sebastian Vaughn underneath of Stapleton into turn 1. He's going to bring the 9 of Reagan Whitlock with him. They head down the back straightaway, full song once again. 3 wide further in the back of the field with Ryan Gondillo, Cornish, and there's another car that's way back there in that 3 wide mix. That might have been Jerry Rose in the 00. But they get that 3 wide scenario straightened out. And here comes Moscow underneath of the 28 of Craven. That is exactly what Russell Blaze wanted to see as he starts to check out. And Craven, I thought he was going to try to make some sort of move there on... I thought he was going to make some sort of move there on Moscow. Maybe like a crossover, maybe try to get a better run around the outside, but definitely not the case here. As he's going to tuck in 3rd, and we saw Andrew Miller there take over the 4th spot from Tanner Parton. And further in the back, look at this 3 wide right here. That was Noah Clifton in between Campbell Marsh and as well as Emily Anderson. It looks like Clifton's going to back out of this one and to try to live to fight another day. Meanwhile, up front, challenge for 2nd is back on. Kyle Craven goes back around Val Moscow and might bring Andrew Miller with him up to the 3rd position. But no, the crossover move is going to go over to the 33 of Moscow. So they're fighting it out pretty hard for 2nd as we're now 25 laps in, 1/8 of the way through this Coca-Cola 600. Blaze continues to lead it over Val Moscow, who just edged out Craven at the line for 2nd. But now it looks like Craven is going to be relegated back to the 4th position. 3 wide again. That's Rogel Dorn up top. Valkyrie Atikin in the middle. Shania Hill was on the bottom in that 3 wide situation down the back stretch. Blaze continues to lead it. And Craven still finding himself in trouble on that middle groove. He can't even find a way back down to the bottom. As Parton's going to go right on by, as is Braden Perez. Sebastian Vaughn waiting in the wings in that 54. Take a look further in the back. There's Wyatt Walker, who just got by Nia Steidel. This would be for the 10th position, I would believe. Wyatt's had himself a pretty good start here to the 2025 season, but just as the year went on, he got deeper and deeper in points until he was just about at the top 30. And then won a couple of good races, especially one being at Phoenix, where he finished 3rd in that event. Pushed him up to 20, at least top 20 in points. And then from then on, went on to finish, I believe, 22nd in the standings. And now here he is in this race with no points on the line. And look at him go. He's getting by Terry Walker. One of his own cars there for the 8th position. Wyatt is definitely on a move here in this race. Look at him go. And here comes Bobby McGuire in that number 3. He started this race in the 37th position. Obviously being the lowest number of the part-time cars. He wound up getting the highest starting position of them. And here he is. Now going to be contesting for 10th underneath of Terry Walker, getting the left rear quarter panel of his Interstate Battery Chevy underneath of Terry Walker's 48. And he possibly might get that 10th spot over the 48. Not much has changed up at the front. Obviously, Blaze still leading the way. Moscow in 2nd. But what we're starting to see here up at the front is that these cars have sort of gotten themselves into a single file rhythm. Obviously, we are a 1/3 of the way. Well, not really a 1/3 of the way in, but we are 30 laps in, coming around to complete lap 31. Parton slides up the track just a little bit. That might open up the door for Craven to potentially make a move underneath of the 07 of Tanner Parton. Actually not going to be the case right here, but look at how close all these cars are, from nose to tail from one another. And look at this, Andrew Miller down to the inside. This is going to be for second as they race through turn number 4. And Andrew Miller driving like a man on a mission. And whoa, Steidl and Bobby Maguire. Holy cow, what a save between both of them. I think Maguire might have just accidentally got into the left rear of Steidl, but great heads up driving from those two drivers. And they save it. They don't overcorrect. They don't panic. And we stay green. How about that? What a save for Maguire and Steidl. Oh my goodness gracious. I can't even believe what I just saw. We're going to have to take a look at that once another caution comes out, potentially. We'll definitely take a look at that here for sure. We'll have to keep a mental note. Lap 32, I would believe. Coming to lap 33. 3 wide here. With Wyatt Walker in the middle, Sebastian Vaughn down on the inside. And while all that's happening, Maguire's going to take perfect advantage of that and try to get to the inside of Steidl. This would be the fight for 9th. And Campbell Marsh waiting in the wings of that number 38 machine. And he's going to follow in the tire tracks of Bobby Maguire as they come off of turn 4. This 19 machine, I am telling you, is a man on a mission right now. He just made his way up to 6th. He's going to try to chase down our champion, Kyle Craven, who is currently 5th on the racetrack right now. Russell Blaze continuing to show the way. Andrew Miller in that 2nd spot. Moscow in 3rd. Tanner Parton in 4th. And as we covered, Kyle Craven rounds out your top 5 here in this Coke 600. Then Wyatt Walker in 6th. Sebastian Vaughn currently shown in 7th. Braden Perez 8th. Maguire 9th. And Campbell Marsh rounds out your top 10. Miller all over the back bumper of Russell Blaze. Heading through 3 and 4 there. He had a really good run on him down the back straightaway. Almost like he hesitated trying to make the move heading into turn 3, but he's not going to hesitate here going into turn 1. Down on the inside goes well, not Russell Blaze, but the 96 of Andrew Miller. And now Blaze gets trapped up on the outside. This is the fight for the race lead. Heading into turn 3 and 4 this time. Almost, they probably might be dead even across the stripe right here. Miller edges out Blaze by just a little bit, 0.02 of a second. And now coming off of turn 2. And it looks like Miller might be able to clear Blaze down the back straightaway. Kyle Craven going to go to the inside of Parton for 4th. And indeed right here, between Miller and Blaze, that is the case. New race leader officially. It's Andrew Miller in the 96. Miller still trying to search for his first Pepsi Cup Series win. He technically is the 2023 WRLA Pepsi Cup Series champion, because by the time that we got done with Kansas in 2023, he was the points leader by the time that we ended up closing out the 2023 season, or just really calling it there. So he was unofficially crowned the 2023 champion. Our 2025 champion, that being Kyle Craven, who is officially crowned at Homestead, is currently running 4th. And Wyatt Walker having himself a really great night here, 40 laps in. Getting by Tanner Parton for 5th. Sebastian Vaughn down there on the inside. This is for the, actually 3 wide here. Almost 3 wide. I thought it was going to be 3 wide for 6th, but Sebastian Vaughn was able to close the door just in time to keep McGuire from forcing 3 wide on these two. Let's look back up here at the front. Blaze may be thinking about trying to get this race lead back away from the 96 of Miller. They're in turn 1 right about now. Let's see what the move is going to be. Maybe heading down the back straightaway. Potentially could make a move. Not quite there. Miller pulls away just a tiny bit over Blaze. But I think Russell Blaze might make the move heading into turn 1. That's going to be the case. As here comes Miller to the inside of Andrew Miller for the top spot, heading down the backstretch. Moscow waiting in the wings just in case if anything happens to the front two. And it looks like the 69 edging ahead down the front stretch, and new race leader. Give it back to Russell Blaze and the 69 machine. Moscow right up there in tow. He actually drafted right up to these two because, again, side by side, if you're in front of side by side, that's going to allow you to sort of just pull away. But if you're behind it, you manage to pull right up to it. And that's exactly what Val Moscow just did. He's going to take full advantage of the 96 being trapped up on the middle line, and is going to go to the inside of Andrew Miller. This will be for second, but Miller gets that great run off of the corner, and he will retain that runner-up spot. But for how much longer? Moscow right there on the back bumper is going to go to the inside of Miller. One car way down on the inside. That's Skylar Taylor in the 41. And I believe we might have had a massive stack up here, because look at all these other cars that are kind of just on top of each other. Actually, pit stops are taking place. Gondolo and McClure getting close together there. They managed to keep it off one another. We stay green. And Crown and Monaco had a moment there on the front stretch, and our race leaders are indeed in. Craven is in. Actually, the top two stayed out there. The top two wound up staying out, and now here comes Miller and Blaze and Sebastian Vaughn and others on down pit road on lap 47. So pit stops more than likely began on lap 45 when Skylar Taylor made his way back out onto the racetrack. The race leader now is going to be the 99 of Noah Clifton, with Ryan Gondolo there in second. He's going to go to the inside of the 50 of the 99, and I would have to believe that Clifton is going to come on in. He's just barely going to like throttle his way ahead of the 51 to try to stay ahead of him. Crown comes on in. And here's all these other cars that just made their way back out on the racetrack. Walker is going to get on by the 28 of Kyle Craven, and they race right on by all these other cars that came on pit road just a lap later. So this is going to be pretty interesting across the stripe. This is going to be very, very interesting, because I believe Noah Clifton, he is making his way back out on the racetrack right now as we speak. There he is, along with Ryan Gondillo. And by the time that Terry Walker, that is, crossed the start-finish line, he was shown in the 4th spot. But as the drivers cross the start-finish line right about now, that would mean the 48 of Terry Walker is your race leader. Running in second will be Reagan Whitlock. Then in third will be Wyatt Walker. Andrew Miller currently shown in 4th. Then in 5th is the 28 of Kyle Craven. Then in 6th is Val Moscow, Bobby McGuire in 7th. Jordan Sumner coming up inside of the top 10 for the first time here tonight. She is 8th. Then in 9th is Sebastian Vaughn, and Russell Blaze gets relegated back to 10th. We are officially 1/4 of the way into the Coca-Cola 600. Only 2 cautions to start the race. And surprisingly enough, we've been clean and green ever since then. Here's McGuire. He just worked his way around Val Moscow for the 6th position. Bobby, unfortunately, did not make the points-paying finale at the Homestead Miami Speedway back on the 1st of November. However, his girlfriend, Janiyah Hill, did, so, of course, Bobby stayed. He was sat on the pit box of the 7 team, and you could definitely imagine the emotions that were pouring out of McGuire on that particular night as he saw his girlfriend, Janiyah Hill, score her first Pepsi Cup Series win, not just for herself, but for McGuire Motorsports as an entirety. He was absolutely ecstatic. He was jumping up and down for joy, and he's very happy. And now that he's in this race, he could try to see if he can go out and win this Pepsi Cup Series race for himself. He's currently shown in the 6th position, and he's definitely showing that he's got the speed in this car, and he could definitely do it here tonight at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Wyatt Walker, who was 3rd, now gets relegated back to 5th as Craven and as well as the 9 of Reagan Whitlock go right on by. But Terry Walker still leading the charge here in this number 48 machine, followed by the 96 of Andrew Miller, moving back up into the 2nd spot. Meanwhile, Wyatt Walker going to try to make his way down to the inside of Whitlock. This would be the fight for 4th. Not much of a fight there. And McGuire got really close to left rearing the 9 of Reagan Whitlock. He got very, very close, but thankfully nothing came out of it. And Whitlock is just going to tuck right into that 5th position, but it's going to have a whole huge mirrorful of Bobby McGuire's Interstate Battery Chevy in Whitlock's mirror. Further in the back, teammates Jordan Sumner and Sebastian Vaughn trading positions, put Vaughn in the 8th spot. Sumner's going to get kicked back to 9th, and Blaze comfortably riding here inside of the top 10. Didn't really have the greatest pit stop in the world, but it was just good enough to keep Blaze inside of the top 10 as of right now. So I'm pretty sure we might be able to pit maybe like right around lap 85-ish. So we're going to have to keep an eye on exactly what the pit strategies are going to look like by that time. Tanner Parton to the inside of Jerry Rose. This is the fight for 12th. Right now, it's a 5-horse fight for 11th as not Russell Blaze, but Braden Perez leads that charge. And McGuire's going to go right on by Reagan Whitlock for 5th. And here comes Wyatt Walker challenging our 2025 champion for the 3rd position. Actually, hold the phone as Andrew Miller, pretty typical of how we missed the fight for the lead, goes right on by Terry Walker for 1st place. And now here comes Kyle Craven right on by to take 2nd away. And Wyatt Walker trying to look for 3rd, but not so fast. Here comes Bobby McGuire trying to take it away from Walker, but not going to have the best of run to do so. I don't even know what I said there. That kind of was just flat out gibberish, but as long as you understood where I was coming from, that's all that matters. I'm telling you guys, food fatigue is a real thing. But McGuire still chilling out in that 5th position, but I don't think Wyatt's going to take it any more chill as he wrestles his way down to the inside of his own father for 3rd. And oh, Sumner got pretty loose there coming off of turn 4. She managed to save that car. Blaze trying to do everything that he can to get back inside of the top 5, at least closer to the race lead where he was for a good portion of the first quarter of this event. After this round of pit stops, it relegated him back to 10th. So I would have to I would have to believe the pit stops will start right around lap 85-ish, maybe lap 90, depending on if it's a 40 to 45 lap stretch. We're just going to have to figure it out as this race goes on. But nonetheless, Miller still leads the charge. And Kyle Craven is going to have a huge mirror full of Wyatt Walker as they come off of turn number 4. And there goes Walker to the inside to try to take that second spot away heading into turn 1. And Bobby McGuire is going to follow in the tire tracks. So Walker moves up to second. McGuire still contesting our champion, Craven, for third. And it looks like he just might get it coming off of turn number 4. And across the stripe, he might try to get 2 birds with 1 stone as he tries to set up a pass heading into turn 1. He's not going to get it because Wyatt's going to slam the door. And Terry Walker is in tow in that number 48 machine. Gonna try to wrestle his way to the inside. But not have a good enough run there. As looks like Terry's gonna lose a little bit of ground to these two. We're gonna fight it out for second. So McGuire makes a run underneath the Wyatt Walker, give him the second position. And Wyatt's going to fall back to the third spot as Bobby McGuire. He started, again, Bobby started 37th here in this race as a virtue of the part-time cars starting out back. Remember, the starting grid was set via points. So that's why some of these drivers that started further out back, I mean, even if they had fast cars, they started further out back because of where they finished in the point standings. But they have wrestled their way up to the front of the pack, and they are absolutely letting it all hang out. Coming to 66 laps complete. Got a couple slower cars just up ahead, that being Skylar Taylor in the 41. You also have Ryan Little back here, as you do CG Holt. These two cars right here, they've honestly been some of the fastest cars we've seen. Miller, McGuire, Wyatt Walker, Sebastian Vaughn as well. Even Terry Walker's up here still. They're all fighting it out here for the second position. At least Wyatt and Bobby McGuire are. And while all that's happening, Andrew Miller has to be loving what he sees in his rearview mirror, because he just pulled out to probably almost a half a second lead over now Wyatt Walker, who's going to take over the second spot from Bobby McGuire. And Terry Walker in the 48 is going to try to look to follow, but not going to be the case, as Bobby's going to get the great run coming off of turn number 4 and will retain that third position in car number 3. Now remember, McGuire and his team, McGuire Motorsports, are going full-time in 2026. And unfortunately, as for Bobby, he's not going to be driving the 3 next year. He will be acquiring the number 18 from Walker Family Motorsports. So Abby Walker, I believe we have mentioned a little bit earlier in the season that she'll be driving the number 16 heading into 2026. The paint schemes, well, you're going to find out just exactly what they look like by the time that the season concludes, and we'd already have the draft. And yes, we are holding a draft for at least 3 spots for WRLA Pepsi Cup competition next year. There are 3 spots that are going to be open for certain teams, and well, some of those teams, well, they're going to be able to pick exactly who they're going to have to sign on for some of their cars for 2026. More info on that next week. 71 laps complete. Andrew Miller still leading the charge here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. They're getting ever so closer to Skylar Taylor in that 41. They won at Las Vegas earlier in the season at the very beginning of the year. Andrew Miller still searching for his first Pepsi Cup Series win. He technically won the 2023 championship. Wyatt Walker, who started in 2020 as a part-time driver, made a few races, unfortunately didn't have the most amount of speed, but acquired what was left of the assets of the old Walker Family Motorsports to form his own Walker Family Motorsports. Went full-time, got 2 wins in 2023 with Gecka and CG Halt, Gecka at Milwaukee and CG at Kansas. And then this year, Abby Walker at Iowa. Abby also in 2023 was part-time. But in her first full-time stint, I'd say she did really, really well for her first year in full-time competition. Again, won at Iowa. And honestly, had probably one of the best performances all year that particular night. But she's been pretty consistent all year, to say the least. But Wyatt himself still trying to search for his first career win, and could have almost wound it up with their first championship with Terry Walker, but unfortunately things didn't quite go the way that they were hoping for at the tail end of the season, and Terry wound up dropping to about 5th in the point standings, or at least just outside of the top 3. So they have caught Skylar Taylor. McGuire still trying to work over that 19 of Walker for second. And all this, Miller, our race leader, catches Skylar Taylor. Going to try to make it look as effortless as possible as he goes to work on Skylar Taylor to put them a lap down. And McGuire and Wyatt Walker still fighting it out for second. That's pulled Sebastian Vaughn in the mix in that 4th spot. So Sebastian Vaughn having himself a career night here in WRLA. One of a few that here tonight. One of a few, I mean, throughout the season, especially here tonight. McGuire is going to officially take over that 2nd spot. Wyatt still trapped up on the outside. That's going to allow Sebastian Vaughn to put together his best efforts to move up to 3rd. And indeed, that's going to be the case as you move the 54 up to 3rd. Bobby McGuire, all he's got to do is get by the 41 of Skylar Taylor, then he can have Andrew Miller all to himself. Miller has almost a 2/3 of a second advantage as of right now over Bobby McGuire. Sebastian Vaughn following. Then obviously Wyatt Walker, who just got kicked back to 4th. And how about this? Kyle Craven 5th, or really Terry Walker 5th, then Craven 6th. Russell Blaze has now found himself back in the mix in 7th. So Blaze looking to have a good long run car here for this one, as now he goes to work on Kyle Craven, trying to get 2 birds with 1 stone heading into turn 3, and I believe pit stops are getting ready to take place. There goes Skylar Taylor onto pit road. to begin our second round of green flag pit stops. Now, chances are the strategies are going to look a little bit more split up. Had a little bit of a phlegm buildup on top of that. Do apologize. Top 6 stay out. Just about everybody's going to stay out here. So I believe Skylar Taylor was just probably one of the few other cars that, well, I mean, really was the only car that pitted on lap 80. But now here they come through turns 3 and 4. Sebastian Vaughn going to work on Bobby McGuire for second. And now here they come. Terry Walker, Jordan Sumner come down to pit. Anybody else? Zachary Fitzwater, Stapleton, and Valkyrie Atikian, they're both in. See what race leader Andrew Miller's going to do here. Miller's going to surrender the lead. He'll come on down. Sebastian Vaughn's going to stay out, as will Russell Blaze. Steidel. Ooh, I think Steidel missed the pits. And she is well off the pace. And she's trying to stay out of everybody's way there. She just got absolutely passed up by Marsh and Giacomo, and Tanner Parton almost got passed by Jerry Rose. But my goodness, what a close call there for Nia Steidel and others. Good heads-up driving by all the other drivers, by all the other guys to avoid wrecking the 6. But also good heads-up driving by Steidel to not run up into the front end of Campbell Marsh. They're all in as of right now, as is Abby Walker, along with Janiyah Hill, Rogel Dorn, Caleb Rose, Stephen Colon. Roberto Crown Jr. is in. I believe Ryan Gundillo, Zachary Taylor, and as well as the 52 of Chase McClure, they have to make their way in. Gundillo's going to stay out. Emily Anderson comes in. I believe Noah Clifton is the last car to pit. If memory serves me to be correct, actually that is the case, because look at the speed on the 41. On 4 fresh Goodyears compared to Noah Clifton, whose tires are just completely worn out. Gundillo and Clifton, they make their run down pit road. This time by. And the top spot more than likely is going to go back to Andrew Miller here in this number 96. And Ryan Little, I believe, was one of the other cars that, 3 wide here, just trying to get by this 27. McGuire right there in tow. And more than likely, it's going to be the case with Andrew Miller going back to the race lead. Ooh, close call there between Ryan Little and Jordan Sumner. Little almost got into the back end of the 20. But thankfully, not the case there. We stay green, and Miller is going to go back to the race, is going to go back to the point. Then running in second will now officially be Terry Walker, Bobby McGuire in third, Jordan Sumner moving up into the 4th spot. Then it's Wyatt Walker in 5th, Kyle Craven in 6th. Then in 7th is Reagan Whitlock. 8th is Val Mosco. Braden Perez is 9th, and Sebastian Vaughn completes your top 10 as fight for second is on between Bobby McGuire and Terry Walker. McGuire's going to get him at the stripe and will clear the 48 of Terry Walker. That was a really great run that McGuire got through turns 1 and 2. And now he's going to try chase down the 96 of Andrew Miller, who is out front by just now, probably going to be under 0.8 of a second, as Miller is going to try to go to work on getting by CG Halt. Now, just shy of 1 second is the gap between the 96 and the 3. It's now Miller going to try to chase down the 41 of Skylar Taylor. McGuire cut into that lead by 4/100ths of a second. But things are looking pretty impressive as of right now. Again, I'm pretty shocked that we've gone caution free ever since the opening stages of the race. Since the opening stages, the first 10 laps of this Coke 600, where we only had 2 major crashes that took out, well, maybe 3 cars. Really 4. Quentin Moore is actually behind the wall. I believe that more than likely was just because of the damage that he had sustained from the 2 crashes that brought out our only 2 cautions of the race. Which, rather unfortunate there for Quentin Moore. Obviously, he's not going to be able to see the finish of this one, at least on the racetrack, but he will be back for our season finale this Saturday at the Pocono Raceway. That one should be a pretty good one to round out the 2025 campaign and set our sights straight ahead to 2026. At least for our WRLA campaign, we have a lot of big things coming your way. So if you're not in the WRLA Discord, be sure to hit up !WRLA if you are watching live on Twitch. If you're watching on YouTube, at least for the full race premiere, the link should be in the description to join up on the Clan, not the Clan 11 Discord, but the WRLA Discord. Get a lot of the breaking stories and news updates to the schedules and to what's going to be happening and what's coming in 2026. Things are going to be pretty interesting heading into the new season. Going to have some new teams and new faces and familiar places and familiar faces in new places, more than likely. Look at this fiasco right here, as Terry Walker is under fire from Jordan Sumner and Wyatt Walker. All this while trying to get by CG Hall and Skylar Taylor, who are well off the pace. And CG still absolutely holding up Skylar Taylor, as well as Jordan Sumner. And Skylar Taylor is just holding up Wyatt Walker. So things not looking too good there for Wyatt. And poor old Wyatt is just trapped essentially behind the 41 of Skylar Taylor. And all that is just giving the ammunition over to the 20 of Jordan Sumner to just shoot right on by. And will clear the 19 of Wyatt, at least for the split second. That would be for the 4th spot. And meanwhile, up at the front of the field, McGuire has all but caught the 96 of Andrew Miller. Just 2 laps away from the halfway mark in the Coca-Cola 600 from here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. 3 wide over here. I think Wyatt just ran out of patience and said, you know what? I'm just going to put you 3 wide. I'm going to try to take this 4th spot away from Jordan Sumner. Try to see if I can go on and win this race. Walker's got a pretty good car to do it. I mean, he's probably got the car to do it. And this is probably going to be his night. Probably the best opportunity for him to try to get his first Pepsi Cup Series win. Obviously, because of the type of car that he's brought to the table. for a lot of these drivers. I'd say for Terry Walker and Miller and McGuire and Sumner, Sebastian Vaughn, they all have really good opportunities here tonight to try to score their first Pepsi Cup Series wins. But if we're looking at this realistically, I mean, as far as this current moment, I'd say the front 6, particularly maybe front 4, that being Andrew Miller, McGuire, both Walkers, Wyatt and Terry, those 4 I think have the best shot at going for their first Pepsi Cup Series wins here in the WRLA. Halfway through the Coke 600, Miller continues to show the way. Bobby McGuire in second. Then in third is Terry Walker. Wyatt Walker in fourth, trying to go to work on CG Hall, try to get by him. And of course, CG Hall, being a great teammate there, moves out of the way of Wyatt. So that way Wyatt can go on by and have a clear path to his father, Terry. Sumner completes the top 5. Then her teammate, Sebastian Vaughn, is in the 6th position. Russell Blaze currently tucked in 7th. Kyle Craven in 8th. Then in 9th is Braden Perez. And Tanner Parton rounds out your top 10. But look at Bobby McGuire all over the back bumper of Andrew Miller. See if McGuire's going to try to make the move down the back straightaway. Not going to be the case here, as he glares on the back bumper of Miller's car. More than likely he's going to try to make the move heading down into turn 1. He's got the nose peeked out. I think he's just letting him know that he's there, that he's got the car, and he could probably make the move at just about any time. But the question is, when? When will Bobby McGuire make the move? Maybe heading into turn 1. I'm still thinking he's going to make a move heading into turn 1, more than likely, because a move heading down the back straightaway into turn 3 just seems all but too predictable to me. But he could practically make this pass for the lead at just about any given time. He may have lost 1/100th over Andrew Miller, but that doesn't make a difference here, especially when your car is literally almost glued to the back bumper of the guy in front of you. But things are getting pretty dicey, to say the least. Especially at the front half of the field, or at least with the front 2. Terry Walker, just about 0.7 of a second back, just waiting in the wings in case if anything happens to the front 2. Miller pulling away by 1/100th of a second each lap. Just little by little by little, small increments. Just by small increments is how much that Miller's starting to pull away from Bobby McGuire, but I don't think Bobby really cares too much. He's practically right there. And if he can get a good enough draft, or at least a good enough run, he should be able to make this pass. My guess is he's probably going to get at least to a point where he is just 0.05 seconds away, or at least behind, in order to make this move, or at least get as close as 0.05 seconds. Now he's going to peek the nose out. There he goes. Down to the inside goes McGuire for the race lead in the Coke 600. Side by side down the back straightaway. And pretty dead even heading into the third corner. Just about dead even. McGuire edging ahead, coming off of 4. Miller trying to get a good enough run down the front straightaway. He hangs even along the door of the 3, but McGuire managed to get the lead across the stripe. But can he clear Andrew Miller? Ryan Little tried to get by, or at least trying to get up to the 96, but had to get out of the gas there to give him some room. And now Bobby McGuire officially clears Andrew Miller. New race leader, it's Bobby McGuire in the number 3. 90 laps to go here in the Coca-Cola 600. This fight has essentially pulled Terry Walker into the mix. Wyatt Walker had been sort of chowing down, if you will, on at least picking away at the gap between himself and the first place guy, now being Bobby McGuire. I mean, just trying to get ever so closer to trying to nab that race lead away, but he's about 9/10 of a second behind McGuire, 3/10 back from his father. Walker Family Motorsports, especially when you look at both Wyatt and Terry, they have put on an absolute clinic as far as consistently staying around the top 5 area is concerned. I definitely tip my cap over to Andrew Miller and Bobby McGuire as well. They've had themselves a pretty fantastic night, especially within the first half. And as we continue on into the second half, things have gone pretty stout here for a lot of these other drivers, especially for the front 4 right here. But not a lot of action up here until you get back over here. Russell Blaze has made his way up into the 6th spot, getting by Sebastian Vaughn. And now he's going to try to get up to the back bumper of the 20 of Jordan Sumner to try to pass her to get inside of the top 5. And our champion, Kyle Craven, well, right now he's currently shown in the 10th position. His teammate, Campbell Marsh, having himself a pretty good night tonight, running in 9th. There's Tanner Parton up there in the 8th position. He is coming back to Vision Motorsports. But it's going to be a lot of new colors here for the 07 camp, and you'll be able to find out exactly what the scheme looks like in the coming weeks. Looks like Andrew Miller, not Andrew Miller, but Russell Blaze just got passed by Sebastian Vaughn for the 6th spot. Now Vaughn gets 2 birds with 1 stone, as now he moves up into the 5th position up front. Andrew Miller is going to contest Bobby McGuire for the race lead once again, coming off of turn 4. So much just happened within the last 2 laps that we just essentially missed what happened. Wyatt Walker got on by the 48 of Terry Walker for 3rd, and Andrew Miller is trying to get back up to the race lead. But so far, that looks like that's the case as of right now, but Miller is having a little bit of a hard time clearing McGuire for the top spot. Bobby's going to try to hold up on the outside and not going to be able to hold it here down the front straightaway. Miller goes back to the point, and with all that just basically unfolding before us, here comes Wyatt Walker in the 19, pulling up by just about a half a second. It's Alexander Rowe in the 34. He's making his way down the front straightaway as these drivers come off of turn 4. Miller back in command of the Coca-Cola 600. And we are coming up to our 3rd round of green flag pit stops here in just a couple of laps time. But Wyatt Walker, Wyatt's been able to pull up and run down the front 2, so there's a pretty good chance that we may see Wyatt Walker maybe make a challenge for this top spot. Oh, hold up. A little bit of interesting strategies taking place here. Terry Walker comes to pit road pretty early, as does CG Hall, and we saw Alexander Rowe make his way into the pits. So pit stops sort of beginning very early for some of these drivers. I thought it would have been Skylar Taylor that would have made the charge down pit road. Now we see the two NS Racing cars of Nathan Stapleton and Valkyria Tikian coming on into the pits. Get service done to their cars. And, ooh, Braden Perez and Reagan Whitlock, a couple of Cologne Motorsports cars making their way down pit road. There's Joshua Cornish in the 89, a little bit of front end damage to his machine. He makes his way on to pit road to get service done to his car. And now, ooh, yep, here comes Andrew Miller, Wyatt Walker. They're coming in. Bobby McGuire's going to stay out. As will Sebastian Vaughn and Russell Blaze. They're all staying out. Sumner, Marsh, Craven, Wayne Lopez, as well as Jerry Rose, Nia Steidel. They're making their way into the pits, as well as Rogel Dorn. And now Bobby McGuire as is the 54, Sebastian Vaughn. Actually, Vaughn's going to stay out. Blaze and Moscow, they come on in, as will Zachary Taylor and Janiah Hill. And ooh, a very close call there for Alexander Rowe and Ryan Gundillo. I thought Rowe was going to absolutely turn the 51. Because remember, the 34 is on fresh tires. But Noah Clifton, Emily Anderson, Ryan Gundillo, those drivers are not on 4 fresh Goodyears. So they are going to come on down pit road and fix that. Actually, maybe not. Chase McClure is going to come on down pit road, as will Sebastian Vaughn. He surrenders the top spot. Bruno Diacomo currently shown as the race leader. Let's see if we can find him. There he is. He has currently a 4.1 second advantage over Ryan Gundillo. But that's going to change here as Diacomo, our Watkins Glen winner, is going to surrender the lead and make his way into the pits. Emily Anderson and, oh boy, Wyatt. Oh boy. I think Wyatt just kind of panicked there a little bit, just trying to get by the 41 of Skylar Taylor. But thankfully, oh, crash back straight away. Hold up. That involves Terry Walker and Ryan Gundillo. Oh no, Terry's had, after such a great run here tonight, Terry Walker gets into a little scuffle on the track with Ryan Gundillo, who was scored as the race leader. Oh my goodness gracious. And he's still shown as the race leader. And he's the one that's going to lead him back to the caution flag. What in the world just happened? And remember, Ryan still has to come to pit road. He is yet to make a pit stop. But our third caution of the night flies on lap 124. And Terry Walker, who made a pit stop early, well, to kick off our third round of green flag stops early on, unfortunately now has a lot of right side damage to his Lowe's Toyota Camry. But definitely, I would not say that the 48 is out of this one. I would not say that whatsoever. Terry is going to be able to continue on, but man, what a turn of events here in the Coca-Cola 600. Lots of debris in the Parton pit. As all these other cars, they come on in to make yet another pit stop. And it looks like Sebastian Vaughn's going to win that race off of pit road. McGuire comes out second, then Miller third, Sumner in fourth, then Parton, then Jerry Rose, then Wyatt Walker, Reagan Whitlock, Perez, and I think, or Martian, then I think Perez. I think that would be your top 10 coming out of the pits. but your race leader is now going to be the 95. At least that's currently what I'm understanding. The 95 of Bruno Giacomo. What in the world is even going on? I don't even know, but he's your race leader, and we're going to go back and review our third caution of the evening to figure out what in the world is going on, or really what just happened that brought out our third caution of the evening here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Terry Walker, and as well as the 51 of Ryan Gundillo, unfortunately, they wound up getting into each other. They wound up getting into one another. Oh my goodness. This is rather interesting. A very, very interesting situation that just took place. And we're going to show you just exactly what happened. We're following along with Terry, who is on 4 fresh tires. He rockets up to Andrew Miller, who's getting held up by Ryan Gundillo. And just as Terry's going to make a move by the 51, here comes Gundillo, washes up the track, gets into the path of Terry Walker, and they both go up into the outside wall, down the back straightaway. Thankfully, they spun down to the infield, and nobody else got collected. Thankfully enough. But that is what warranted our third caution of the evening here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And it involves Terry Walker, who is having himself a very great night here tonight, running inside of the top 5 for a good majority of this event. And this is definitely going to hinder his chances of getting his first Pepsi Cup Series win here tonight. Let's go back and take a look at it here at full speed. But just look at this run that the 48 has here coming through turn 4. And the 51, I think, just trying to move up to land Andrew Miller by. I don't think he really took into account just how quickly Terry Walker was moving up. I don't even know, but that was actually very, very interesting. But thankfully, Terry, I do believe he should be able to continue on here in this one. But again, his chances of winning this race are going to be rather hurt coming in, or at least rather hurt going into the later stages of this Coca-Cola 600. He is bringing his car onto pit road. And there was another incident that wound up happening. Actually, that little deal that happened between Nia Steidl, while we're under caution, actually, that little incident between Nia Steidl and Bobby McGuire, I want to see that again. It's a good thing. It's a good thing that we remembered. It was right around, I want to say lap 32, 33. Yes, it was lap 32 coming to lap 33, but just look at this. Look at what winds up transpiring here. Man, McGuire just got into the left rear of Nia Steidl. And that was just a very fantastic save by those two. Very great heads-up driving. Oh, whoops. But focusing in on the current portion of the race, back to live action. Some drivers did come on down pit road. Terry Walker let them down, but Giacomo still shown as the race leader This is going to be very interesting here. With obviously some drivers that wound up staying out. Well, some drivers that wanted, I mean, obviously some that pitted at the moment that the caution came out. So there are some drivers that are still trapped on the tail end of the lead lap. For example, of course, we do have Emily Anderson, at least 4 cars on the tail end of the lead lap. Emily Anderson, Andrew Ramsey, and the 31 of Eric Monaco. Terry Walker brought his car into the pits, so he is going to be 1 lap down. And I believe might be the first car 1 lap down. As the lights, I think, are going to be out on the pace car. That is indeed going to be the case. So Emily Anderson, who is not the race leader, again, she is the first car on the tail end of the lead lap, but she is at the front of the field. But it's Bruno Diacomo who leads the way, followed by second place Val Mosco. Running in third, that would be the 52 of Chase McClure. Then in fourth is the 99 of Noah Clifton. Sebastian Vaughn in fourth, or really Sebastian Vaughn completes the top 5, excuse me. Then in sixth is Bobby McGuire, Andrew Miller in seventh, Jordan Sumner in eighth. Then in ninth is Tanner Pardon, and rounding out your top 10, that would be the 00 of Jerry Rose. So as the field works their way through turns 3 and 4, to restart here on lap 129, there will be 72 laps to go here in the Coke 600. Diacomo may be the race leader, but it's Emily Anderson that is going to lead the field back to the green flag. Remember, she is on the tail end of the lead lap, so if another caution happens to take place, she will be in perfect position to get back on the lead lap, as will all these other cars that lined up on the inside ahead of Bruno Diacomo. That's about 8 or 9 cars that are ahead of that number of the 95, including his teammate and boss, Caleb Rose. But Diacomo makes his way down to the bottom, and they are 3 wide over here with Alexander Rowe. Almost 4 wide, heading down the back straightaway. That is 4 wide. Oh, they're getting pretty close. Very, very dicey down the back straightaway, heading into turn 3. Oh, 3 wide up here. Our race leader's right in the middle of that. As are many, 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 many other cars. McClure in the middle of a 3 wide situation, as is Val Mosco, trapped up on the extreme outside line. And look at this, the whole field practically behind Bruno Diacomo is completely stacked up. I have a bad feeling. They're gonna wreck coming down the back straightaway. I have a very, very bad suspicion that something is gonna happen because of the fact that all these cars are jam-packed on top of each other. This is just a whole instance of hold your breath. All these cars pretty much just blocked up behind the 41 and the 34. Remember, who are off the pace because of the damage that they have to their cars, especially for Alexander Rowe with the rear end removed on his machine. So all these cars still trying to figure out ways to get by the damaged 34 and 41. Tanner Parton is now shown in the second position, but he is just a little over a second behind Bruno Diacomo, who is taking full advantage of what just happened, what just transpired here on this restart. 3 wide back over here, at least momentarily, at Noah Clifton in the middle of that 3 wide mess. Oh, look at this back over here. More 3 wides ensuing. Blaze on the bottom, or almost in the middle. There's Terry Walker in the middle of a 3 wide situation. Terry Walker, after that wreck that he had with Ron Gundillo, is relegated back to the 38th position, 1 lap down. The field's starting to string out just a little bit more. But I still don't think we're quite done with the cautions just yet. Still possibly believe that there might be an incident, maybe coming off of turn 4, heading down the front stretch, or maybe coming off of turn 2, heading down the back. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities that more than likely are going to happen. But Giacomo definitely loving what he sees, or definitely loving where he's at right now, even though he is around 2 other cars, or a few other cars that are either a lap down or on the tail end of the lead lap. He has a little over a second advantage over Tanner Parton. Then you have Jerry Rose, who's in 3rd. Wyatt Walker, who has had himself a fast car all night. He's trying to get back up towards the front of the field. Noah Clifton holding his own in 5th. Then McClure in 6th. Nia Steinel is going to move up to 7th. Rogel Dorn going up in 8th in the top 10 for the first time here tonight. Then Reagan Whitlock in 9th. And now Valkyrie Atikian. Actually, not Valkyrie Atikian, but I do believe Andrew Miller is going to find himself inside of the top 10 as he works his way to the inside of Russell Blaze. Oh man, lots of jostling around here for that track position. Giacomo has one more car to get by, and that is Emily Anderson, who is just hoping and praying for another caution to come out so that way she can get back on the lead lap officially. Jerry Rose just, I mean, of course, for somebody like Jerry Rose, he just wants he's looking for a win, of course. I mean, Tanner Parton is also looking for his first win of the season. He wound up getting his first career win in 2023 in Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. All those years ago, just the 2 years ago when he was driving for Otter Island Motorsports. He's looking for his first win of the year. But nonetheless, 60 laps of racing to go here in the Coca-Cola 600. And Bruno Giacomo still holding on. He's got a little under a second lead on Tanner Parton. Wyatt Walker has now gotten by Jerry Rose for 3rd. And now he's going to try to set his sights on getting by all these other cars in front of him to try to wrestle his way to the lead. And he knows for sure that he's got the car to do it. That is 100% a fact. Then just not too far behind him, as far as all the other cars that he raced with before the caution came out is concerned, I mean, Russell Blaze is now up inside of the top 10 once again. Nia Steidel in 9th. Noah Clifton looking to get by Abby Walker, en route to set his sights on Jerry Rose for the 4th spot. Clifton, who won at Atlanta earlier this year in September, bringing NS Racing their first win, and currently their only win of the year. Right now doing a fantastic job inside of the top 5. Now Wyatt's going to have a little bit of a fun time trying to get by the 34. Of Alexander Rowe, or at least a very fun time trying to get by him. course, because of the damage that the 34 has sustained, very early, at the very beginning of the race. I mean, obviously with the rear end damage on the car, I mean, I'm actually kind of shocked, actually, of how well this 34 is performing despite the whole rear end of the car being sawed off. I mean, even though it's body damage, you do have to give this 34 team all the credit in the world. They've done an absolutely fantastic job of keeping this 34 out on, not only out on the racetrack, but also in contention for what could be a pretty, I'd say, a good finish for them. I mean, well, maybe not the best finish, actually, thinking back on it, because they're currently 33rd, one lap down. But nonetheless, a great valiant effort, if I may say, to keep the 34 of Alexander Rowe out on the racetrack. A challenge for second is a brewing, because now you got Wyatt Walker all over the back bumper of the 07 of Tanner Parton. This is the challenge for the second position as they come down the front stretch into turn one. Parton is going to get to the inside of Andrew Ramsey to try to at least dispose of him. And Wyatt's going to follow in the tire tracks, heading down the back straightaway. He's going to tuck back in line now, right down to the inside, down on the bottom of the racetrack, heading through turns 3 and 4. No problems whatsoever there. The gap is now 1.2 seconds between the 95 and the 07. But now you got the 19 of Walker just absolutely stalking Tanner Parton. And in further in the back, 3 wide, Nia Steidel and Russell Blaze both had the same idea, just trying to get by the 18 of Abby Walker, whom is currently 34th, one lap down. But Steidel now being relegated back to the 10th position. Wayne Lopez and the 3 of Bobby McGuire fighting out for track position. McGuire's going to get kicked back to 12th. Wayne Lopez coming to life in the later stages of this Coke 600. Now moving up inside of, well, moving up into 11th, now trying to make a move for 10th. Lopez, along with Quentin Moore and Zachary Fitzwater, were invited out to a Veterans Day clash that took place at Homestead Miami Speedway. And again, although they didn't have the best of performances there, I mean, at least the end results, even though they didn't have the results that they were looking for, they definitely waved the flag strong for Team WRLA, and we couldn't be any more proud of them. And now here they are here in this race. Right now, Lopez in 11th. Gonna go try to knock on the door of the top 10 on his teammate of Nia Steidel. Zachary Fitzwater, 21st on the racetrack, and Quentin Moore, 39th in the garage area. Walker has now officially gotten by Tanner Parton for second. And now he's going to try to do everything he can to set his sights on race leader Bruno Diacomo for the top spot. The gap is 1.5 seconds between the 95 and the 19, with now 47 laps of racing to go in the Coca-Cola 600. Four 100s just got shaved off of Diacomo's lead. A little bit more 3 wide action here as Reagan Whitlock is in the middle. Jerry Rose got out of the gas, at least lifted to stay out of the way. Rose starting to lose a little bit more ground. Reagan Whitlock starting to come to life. As now she's going to try to knock on the door of the top 5. All over the back bumper of Noah Clifton in this 99 machine. There's the 52 of Chase McClure running in 8th, having a good run here tonight. There's Russell Blaze, our runner-up in points for the 2025 season. Almost getting contested there by Nia Steidel, who has back-to-back wins at Martinsville and at Nazareth. Made a lot of history this year by becoming not only the first female driver to win back-to-back races in WRLA Pepsi Cup Series competition, but also the first ever driver to win back-to-back races in WRLA as an entirety, regardless if it be here in the Pepsi Cup Series or in the formerly ran McDonald's Series or even the Venom Truck Series. But who knows? Maybe in the future we might see those two divisions come back. Who knows? We might see them come back. Maybe at some point in the future. Maybe next year. Maybe in 2027. Who knows? There's a lot of planning that has to go into that, though. But as for the history making, Nia Steidel definitely did it by becoming the first ever female driver and first driver ever to win back-to-back WRLA sanctioned races. Emily Anderson, of course, became the all-time winningest driver this year by surpassing Emmanuel Hartnett by winning at North Wilkesboro and at Indianapolis earlier this year. So now she has 4 career wins to her name, surpassing the likes of Emmanuel Hartnett and Luke Erickson. Or Luke Knight, actually. Or Ben Erickson, sorry, my bad. I'm getting my drivers mixed up, so that's obviously, I do obviously apologize for that, but nonetheless, focusing in on what our current situation is, Diacomo still leading the charge. The lead between himself and Wyatt Walker is beginning to shrink just ever so slightly. The gap between him and Wyatt Walker is now 1 1/3 seconds. Obviously, there's 2 other cars that are between him, that being Diacomo, and Wyatt Walker. But I would have to imagine, especially with the caution that we had, pit stops kind of beginning a little bit later in this run, because this would be the last round of green flag pit stops here tonight. Should this race go green the rest of the way? And who knows, Bruno Diacomo could get his second win of the year here in WRLA Pepsi Cup competition. He got his first win at Watkins Glen. And now here he comes on down to... Whoa! Baby! Skylar Taylor. A replay of what we saw very early in the race with Nia Steidel and Bobby McGuire. Holy cow. Skylar Taylor and Ryan Little got together on the front straightaway, but they save it and we stay green. And now Emily Anderson comes on down. Race leader Wyatt Walker pits in. And a little bit of trouble there between Jerry Rose and Reagan Whitlock. They got together coming off of turn 4. And look out here. Rose going to go on by, at least momentarily, by the 9 of Reagan Whitlock. The 28 of Kyle Craven is there. But lots happening here on the last round of green flag pit stops. Jerry Rose is going to pit on in. Stephen Colon will stay out. And Kyle Craven almost turned the 9 of Reagan Whitlock. And Alexander Rowe, at least from the vantage point that we were looking at, almost hit the end of the pit wall. But thankfully that didn't happen. And we're still green. McGuire is in along with Zachary Taylor, Nathan Stapleton. Abby Walker pits in. Reagan Whitlock shown as the race leader, at least for right now, but Cologne's going to come on in. I would have to imagine the 52, I believe the 52 of Chase McClure. I think he wound up pitting. I believe that might be the case. More than likely, possibly. Well, we'll have to keep an eye on that as this race continues on. But we'll have to wait and see exactly what the running order looks like after what may be our last round of green flag pit stops from here in the Coca-Cola 600 here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. And man, that is a very interesting gap there between Giacomo and also Wyatt Walker. About almost 3 seconds separating the 95 and the 19. That is an absolutely huge jump. But McClure, actually, wait a minute. Hold the phone. Chase McClure still leading the way. He is just 2 seconds ahead of the 95 of Bruno Giacomo. And I believe he already went ahead and made his pit stop. That is beyond, actually oh my goodness. But that gap is easily going to get chewed out by Bruno Giacomo. The gap now is 1.8 seconds. Wyatt Walker is about 3.8 seconds behind Giacomo, 4.6 back from race leader Chase McClure. But Giacomo now has clear racetrack between he now has a clear racetrack. So now he's going to be able to chase down the 52 of Chase McClure with no problems whatsoever. Meanwhile, Wyatt Walker is now going to get relegated back to third. But he is well behind first and second place. So your top 10, as of right now, looks as follows. Chase McClure, the race leader, then running in second is Bruno Giacomo. Third is the 19 of Wyatt Walker. Then in fourth is the 99 of Noah Clifton. Wayne Lopez rounding out your top 5. Then in sixth is Val Moscow. Seventh is Rogel Dorn. Tanner Parton is in 8th. Nia Steidel in 9th. And Jordan Sumner completes your top 10. So a very interesting new look to the top 10. Closing in on 30 laps to go in the Coca-Cola 600 from here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I have a pretty interesting feeling that we may not be quite done with cautions just yet. Shania Hill in the 7, currently running in the 13th position. Great run for her. McGuire getting relegated back to 16th. Sebastian Vaughn, Russell Blaze, 18th and 19th. So a few of these cars. Andrew Miller's back here in the 15th spot. So some of these drivers that were running up front earlier in the race, they got relegated quite a ways back. Our 2025 champion, Kyle Craven, gets relegated back to the 21st spot after not the best pit stop on his end, as well as all these other drivers getting relegated as far back as where they are right now, with just a small handful of laps to go in this race. Giacomo is now down to 2/3 of a second, as he is absolutely ran down the 52. Something might be amiss on Chase McClure's car, because he was out front for as long as he was, maybe to try to stretch out the fuel mileage or maybe even the tires on the car. And oh, that's not good news either, because here comes Emily Anderson and Eric Monaco and Caleb Rose underneath of Giacomo. And that's not good news for him whatsoever. But that's going to be great news for Wyatt Walker as he chews down at least two-tenths of a second on Giacomo. But he's also got Andrew Ramsey just ahead of him. And Ramsey right now is currently 29th, one lap down. Emily Anderson now going to try to get by Chase McClure to get back on the lead lap. That indeed is going to be the case for Emily Anderson. Eric Monaco. How about this? Caleb Rose going to try to make it 3 wide, and that opens the door wide open for Bruno Giacomo to get to the inside of Chase McClure for the top spot. McClure gets it at the line, but Giacomo is going to have the advantage heading through turns 1 and 2. Give it back to Bruno Giacomo in the 95 with 25 laps to go, coming to 24 this time by. But Chase McClure, I don't think is done yet. Still sort of just glued right there to the back bumper, and he's going to put the crossover on. Maybe to try to make it 3 wide himself as they go down into turn 1. Caleb Rose right up there on the outside, almost banging doors there. And that has to be absolutely great news for the 19 of Wyatt Walker. The gap now is 2.3 seconds. McClure is going to let the 95 on go. I don't even know why I said that, but he's going to let him go, at least momentarily. And Giacomo is going to sail away with this lead. The gap is 1.7 seconds between second and third. But I don't think McClure is going to be quite done yet. I don't think Caleb Rose is going to be done yet because I think he wants to try to finish this race on the lead lap, regardless if he has to pass his own car in order to do it. Wyatt Walker now finally getting to the inside of Andrew Ramsey to go on by him, so then he'll have clear racetrack to run down the leaders. But we're coming up on 21 laps of racing to go in the Coca-Cola 600, and Wyatt is running out of time. The gap is now 2.3 seconds. 2.03 seconds to be more specific, as first and second are slowly starting to run away. But man, this would be something if Bruno Giacomo is able to pull this off, try to get his second career win in WRLA Pepsi Cup Series competition. Of course, Appalachia Motorsports will not be returning in 2026. But for the run that they've had, I would have to say that it has been a pretty stellar one at that. And with the way that Giacomo got the race lead, it sort of just, I would say, fell into his lap, if you will. I would say it fell into his lap because of course, it's just with the way that caution kind of just flew on lap 125. It just essentially trapped a few other drivers one lap down, and it ultimately gave the race lead over to Bruno Giacomo, whom I believe wound up making his pit stop before the caution even came out. But now Giacomo starting to pull away from Chase McClure and starting to pull away little by little from Wyatt Walker. He's growing that lead by 1/100th of a second over Wyatt. But Wyatt's definitely got a good enough car to maybe try to run him back down, but I just don't think it's really doing much. Gap now is 0.07 seconds. 2.07 seconds to be specific. I think Wyatt's only hope is one more caution would have to come out. If one more caution comes out, or even if Giacomo gets himself into a situation that's going to take him a while to get out of, I think that would be Wyatt Walker's only chance of winning this race. He is absolutely running down the 52 of Chase McClure, who is giving it all that he's got. He's used up all of his stuff. And now he's starting to lose ground to race leader Bruno Giacomo. The gap now is 2.04 seconds between the 95 and the 19. 1.4 between him and McClure, who is absolutely dropping like a rock. Heading down the front straightaway. 14 laps of racing to go in the Coca-Cola 600. Wyatt now officially right on by, I believe, the 52 of McClure, who has surrendered second place, and coming to pit road as is Andrew Miller. Hold the phone. Some drivers might not be able to make it. Is this the encore pit stop? That is going to be the case. Giacomo comes in. Wyatt's going to stay out. Oh my. So Wyatt Walker stays out. So this was the encore pit stop for some of these drivers. Some of them might not have been able to make it. Maybe Giacomo was one of them. But Wyatt Walker is going to inherit the lead. Is he going to come on down pit road? He is not. He's going to stay out another lap. One car coming on down, that being Jordan Sumner's. Sebastian Vaughn is exiting the pits, but that was Eric Monaco that entered the pits. Tanner Parton was in along, I believe, with Andrew Ramsey. Hill comes in along with Terry Walker. Skylar Taylor as well. But our race leader, that being Wyatt Walker in the 19 machine, he's still holding on to the race lead. He is still staying out on track. 11 laps to go in the Coca-Cola 600. Wyatt hoping and praying that the fuel is able to hold up, and hopefully he is saved up enough so that way he can go to victory lane for the first time in his WRLA career. Is he going to pit this time by? He is not. Neither will the 99 or the 1. 10 to go here in the Coca-Cola 600. Emily Anderson making her way back out on the racetrack. Walker starting to pull away just by a little bit on Noah Clifton. Janiah Hill rejoins the field. And Rose comes on in. Wyatt ran a little bit of a higher line down through turns 3 and 4. Clifton ran the bottom. But Noah Clifton is right there, as is the one of Wayne Lopez. This is essentially turned into a 3-horse fight for the win here at Charlotte. Man, what a story this would be if Wyatt Walker could pull this off. So far, the fuel is holding up, and as are the tires. Can they hold on for 8 more laps? Noah Clifton, Wayne Lopez, of course, again, waiting in the wings just in case if anything happens, but they are running 1, 2, and 3 right now. Rogel Dorn is in 4th, Campbell Marsh in 5th, Steidel in 6th, Bobby McGuire in 7th. Then it's Reagan Whitlock, Braden Perez and Joshua Cornish all completing your top 10 now with 7 laps to go. Oh boy, I am absolutely hoping and honestly, as a friend, I'm hoping and praying Wyatt is able to bring home a win for the first time in WRLA Pepsi Cup competition. He's been able to do it 3 times over as a team owner, but he has not been able to do it as a driver himself. And his heart has to absolutely be pumping through his chest right now. Because, the nerves because the nerves in this moment have to be rather high, and you have to be questioning whether or not if you're able to be good to go on fuel for the rest of the way. 5 fingers in the air, 5 laps to go here in the Coke 600 at Charlotte. This would still be also a really great run for Noah Clifton as well as for the one of Wayne Lopez. This would be a great run for all these drivers if the fuel and the tires are able to hold up. 4 laps to go. Man, this would be absolutely huge. This would be absolutely huge if he's able to hold this off. Cologne gets on by Rogel-Dorn. This is not for official race position. But look at this. There's Bruno Diacomo and as well as the 52 of Chase McClure. They rejoin the field. If we're looking at this correctly, 21st and 22nd, 1 lap down, but they've got fresher tires than everybody else, and they are picking their way through the field, as is Eric Monaco and others that came on down. Walker's starting to pull away a little bit from Noah Clifton. And as well as the one of Wayne Lopez. They come to 2 laps of racing to go from Charlotte. My, oh my. This is gonna be, I don't even know what else to really say. But if you're Wyatt Walker, man, you just gotta be absolutely nervous. Because you're hoping and praying you can get to that white flag and then the checkers. He comes off of turn 4. Diacomo with a great run. White flag falls. 1 final lap here at Charlotte. Walker leads it by a half a second over the 99 of Noah Clifton. McClure and Diacomo, remember they have fresh tires, but it's not even going to matter. Down the backstretch 1 final time. He joined WRLA in 2020. He reinvented Walker Family Motorsports, won as an owner 3 times over, and now finally, Wyatt Walker is a WRLA Pepsi Cup Series winner in Charlotte. Noah Clifton is going to come home in 2nd. Then in 3rd will be Wayne Lopez. Rogel-Dorn in 4th. Campbell Marsh completes your top 5. Then it's Nia Seidel in 6th. Bobby McGuire in 7th. Reagan Whitlock 8th. Braden Perez in 9th. And completing your top 10, that is Joshua Cornish. But what a night for Walker Family Motorsports. The owner driver of the team, Wyatt Walker himself, has finally got a WRLA Pepsi Cup Series win on his resume. And man, he finally did it as an owner driver. Finally did it as an owner driver. The 4th win for the team, but now finally he's got one for himself. 17 drivers finished on the lead lap. And from 18th all the way down to 38th, they all finished 1 lap down or more. Emily Anderson on down to Skylar Taylor finished 2 laps down. And then our only 4 retirees from the race, that being Quentin Moore, Aaron Abel, Claire Phillips, and Alex Bonsignor. For those 4 drivers went out of the race within the first 10 laps. They smelled what the Rock was cooking, but man, what a night. Wyatt Walker, who had one of the fastest cars all night long. He started 22nd here in this race, and he drove his car all the way to the front of the field and to a win in the Coca-Cola 600 here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. Huge congratulations to Wyatt Walker. Man, this has got to be absolutely huge for the team and also for himself. This is, I mean, I don't even know what else to really say, but man, what a drive and what a race for Wyatt Walker. And man, we might get some comments from Wyatt here, so be sure to keep an eye on the WRLA YouTube channel for the post-race interview. But if you are watching live on Twitch, be sure to hit that follow button so you don't miss a future stream. And if you're watching this full race premiere live on YouTube, if you guys like this, be sure to hit the like button. And if you haven't considered subscribing yet, I recommend you do so in order to keep up with some fine content coming out in the near future. But ladies and gentlemen, we have 1 race left to go, and that will be this Saturday, November 15th, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Axalta 400 at the Pocono Raceway. That's going to be a good one, and hopefully you guys are able to make it for our final race of the 2025 season. It should be a pretty good one. One more time, congratulations to Wyatt Walker on his first WRLA Pepsi Cup Series win. Have yourselves a great night, everyone. We'll see you all this coming Saturday at the Pocono Raceway for the season finale of the 2025 WRLA Pepsi Cup Series.